about the God thing for me is you mentioned the Pokemon cards, and this is this traumatized me when I was young. Is my mom? I was raised by a single mother, so like babysitting was always like I would hop from babysitter to babysitter. That was always a big thing. And in the summertime, that was like that was a big deal. So eventually, my mom made a friend who happened to be this like religious person, and I didn't. My mom was like religious but didn't go to church, right? But like she did not like when I questioned God, so I learned not to do that around her and stuff, right? But anyway, so she makes this friend who has this great idea to send me to a Christian summer camp. And I'm like 12. And so I remember, like, I didn't know it was a Christian summer camp. Like, it wasn't described to me as a Christian summer camp. I thought, I'm going to a summer camp. And that's going to be fun. I'm going to, like, play soccer and, like, drink lemonade and, like, whatever. And so, like, I go there the first day. Is like, I think it's like 7 a.m. as I get there. And, like it's all everything I thought of. Like we're playing games, right? And then like noon, like the clock strikes noon, and there's like it's like Resident Evil 4 with the fucking first cutscene, right? That starts ringing, and I'm like, oh shit! And then everyone is like, all right, it's time to go inside. And I'm thinking to myself like, oh okay. I mean, it's getting kind of hot outside. I guess there's an air conditioner. And then like, okay, so we get in here, and we're in this big like. It's not like an auditorium, right? Because there's no stage per se, but it's like a big flat room. Right, with a big like projector up front, and there's like a bunch of chairs, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, are we gonna watch a movie? Like I'm just like I thought that I was here to have fun, and then like some guy comes up and starts like talking about Jesus and God, and I'm like, it hits me at a left field. This is what I think I was like 11. I went there 2 summers in a row, right? So after the second summer, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a latchkey kid now. I convinced my mom. But, the first summer, and then so like this guy is like starting to talk about Jesus and God. I'm not really following because I've been exposed to religion, but I never really paid attention to it, right? So, and then like they use the projector and they start playing these songs. They're like sing along karaoke Jesus bullshit. And one of these songs, I don't know if you're familiar. One of these songs has a lyric where it lists everything that Jesus is better than, right? So the lyric is like better than Pokemon. Better than Superman, better than Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, whoa, Jesus is not better than Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay? I watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Every day, and that was like the moment where I became an atheist. Is like, Jesus is not better than Yu-Gi-Oh! That is not true. I'm being lied to. Anyway, so we're supposed to sing along to these songs. And then, like, after the fact, right, like, we go into, like, these little group sessions in, like, a random room. It's like a classroom or something, you go in there with, like, 5 or 6 people, and then you talk about what you learned. And then so, the group leader, who's, like, I guess, like, they're, like, a high schooler, I don't know, and that's, like, their summer job, I guess, I don't know. But they ask me, like, all right, what did you learn today? And I'm like, fuck, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know. And I'm like, the devil is the bad guy and we shouldn't be like him. And then everyone looks at me and I just felt like this like extreme like shadow over me. Like everyone's like, that's not funny. And I'm like, like they're freaking out. I'm like, oh God, like, am I going to get killed? Like, I don't know. And so it was like that to me, like that experience is what cemented me. Like these people, like they just throw it at you. It's like, it's random. You never know when it happens. Like I'm thinking I'm at a normal summer camp, and then I get like brought into this classroom somewhere, and people are like being mean to me because I didn't understand the lesson. And Jesus is not better than Yu-Gi-Oh! I have Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards in my bag right now because I thought people would like Yu-Gi-Oh! Here. And I don't know. God. I just wanted to tell that story, but
that's hilarious. Okay, that actually lines up with my experience because, like, even when we'd go to Sunday school, like, I think that by the time I was like 12 or 13, so we went to a youth group, and the kids there were freaks. And look, I was a very awkward, weird little kid. So if I thought that other people were freaks, it wasn't because I stood out. It's because they were probably more like weird than like we're talking like Children of the Corn shit. So, like, I never wanted to go to these, youth groups. And I was homeschooled for a portion of my childhood. So my mom wanted me to, like, she was trying to encourage me to make friends. But it's like, these people, like, they're weird. Like, they're so fucking weird. And I remember, like, even, like, being indoctrinated. Me and my friend, like, from, like, that lived around the block from me and her went there. And we were just making fun of all the other kids the whole time. Because they were, like, you can't have conversations with them. Like, it's it's bizarre. Like, you'd think that when you break up into groups and you start talking, that's when you could just be yourself and be kids. But they, like, were glued to the shit. They were like, yeah, so, you know, Jesus, you know, he did this for me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
the adults
even,
aren't
like,
in the room. Shut the fuck up. Let's talk about,
right.
like, fucking cartoons.
You can have fun now. You don't have to, like, you could be yourself. And this is me brainwashed thinking, okay, like, I just want to, like, can we be human beings for a second and, like, talk to people? But even, like, being in that cult, it was still weird to me because it's like, okay, something's off. And, like, it was a subconscious feeling, right? Like, I didn't think, wow, these kids are fucking weird. But looking back, you know, just remembering that, it's like, wow, like, they really are, like, they drank the Kool-Aid. They're
in deep. Like, they have drowned in the deep end, and they're having, like, that, like near death, like, hallucination or something, right? Like, they're just, like, living in their own universe. Like, it's insane.
Sad almost.
It's crazy.
Sad.
I mean, it's like, and it also, like, it robs people of their childhoods, and it robs them of their adulthoods. My thing with, like, the God people is, like, I genuinely, and, you know, a lot of people get mad at me. I've had a lot of people yell at me for this, but I think that if you, like, are, like, like, I'm not talking about, like, oh, Jesus is okay and you don't go to church, but I'm, like, the people that are really into this shit, like, they're zombies. Like, I can't, like, I just can't wrap my mind around the idea that they are, like, a human being in the same way that I am, right? Like, and I just, like, maybe that's a little fucked up, and maybe I should find a better way to communicate that, but, like, man, these people are fucking freaks. They really are. Like, I can't imagine being 60 years old and, like, praying to God every day, and then, like, nothing happens, right? Like, like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, I remember praying to God as a teenager a couple times, and it's like, I regret that. Like, what a waste of fucking time. I could have been masturbating or something, right? But instead I was praying to fucking God. But these people do it, and then, like, the Muslims do it, like, 5 times a day. I mean, Jesus Christ. But, like, I just can't. Like, it's, and for no reason. Like, if you were to, like, instead of praying, if you were to do, like, meditation or something, like, that would do so much more, like, value for your system and your health. And it's just like, oh my God, man, it's insane. It's insane.
What you're describing is the Christian trance, and this is something that I've seen for a very long time. So, like, there's periods where really evangelical people, they'll go through their phases where they aren't as vocal. They never stop believing, but they just kind of, like, maybe they retreat a little bit. You know, they stop going to church on Wednesdays, just once a week. But then there's these periods where they get really back into it. And these periods were always really insufferable, like with my family members. Because, like, even, like, though everyone was in agreement that God is amazing, Jesus is the tits, we love Jesus, like, it's still annoying to see that person who's in that, like, Christian brain rot trance mode. Because every single sentence, they shoehorn in Jesus. And I don't even know how to, like, come up with an example because it's so unnatural. But it's just like, yeah, I mean, we're going to go to the store, so praise God.
Sneeze, right? Like, you know, right. It's that simple.
Yeah, and then they also get very judgmental in this phase too, where it's like, well, I wouldn't do that because that's not what the Lord wants. But yeah, you know, anyways, the weather's so good, praise God. It's just and it's so insufferable because at that point you literally cannot have like, they're incapable of having a human conversation with you. It's just Jesus, 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 and eventually, you know, any human being is going to get sick of that shit, and so they'll retreat a little bit and come back to earth. But it's just, it's too much. And one thing that is nefarious about religion is that it is especially predatory for people with mental health issues. Like people in my family who had issues with mental health, obsessive compulsive disorder, bipolar, you know, if they were having a manic episode, then the religion would kind of compound and make it worse. You know, and it would
absolutely.
Be like linked to it.
It's like it's really like a drug. Like they're drug addicts, and like they will go through periods where they're just going on benders, right? But instead of like, you know, like cocaine, it's Jesus, right? So it's like, imagine, like, you know, I like drugs. I experiment with drugs many times, right? So sometimes I'm going on a bender. I'm drinking alcohol every day, and then sometimes I'm like, fuck it, let's add some weed to this every day, and it exacerbates, right? You know, I have a little fun. But, like, these Jesus people, like, imagine adding Jesus to a manic episode, like, Jesus Christ, you know? Like, they just, like, everything's God this, God that. They won't shut the fuck up. They're cleaning the whole house, and they're praising Jesus, and Yeah, my mom had a couple bouts of that. She was not like that religious at all. Like, I think she maybe, I don't know if she ever took me to church, but like every once in a while she would have like these like sessions where she would cry, and I'd ask her like why she's crying, and then she's like, I don't know, like I feel like I've betrayed God. And it's like every once in a while you like get a window into there. You look through the window and it's like, what the hell's going on in this bitch's brain? Like, Jesus Christ. But like, yeah, like, it's just weird. It comes up at random times. Like, it's just like, you know, you can be a normal... And that's the thing with, like, we were talking about earlier, where it's like, being a queer person, right? Is like, you know, you meet a new friend, and, like, they're cool, they're fine for a couple months, and then all of a sudden, they say something bizarre. It comes out of nowhere. Like, and it's like, they're just in the middle of a Jesus bender. Like, they're just like, you know, they're on 4 days in a row, and they, you know, they're having some problems. You know, and it's just weird. It's strange. And that's, yeah, like you were saying, that's all temporary, right? Like,